I've read about how some people had thought millennials do not watch TV. And the more I think about that, the more I don't believe it. What are your thoughts?
I have no idea. I have a couple of, I say I have no idea. I do have a couple of, a college-age kid, and he watches plenty of TV to my disappointment at times. But so, I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, it seems to me all people are watching TV.
Yeah. Well, it would seem as such, in that there's something for everybody. It would seem, with all the channels that there are. Now, you come from a background other than the floor covering business. You were in heating and air conditioning, and made a decision to come in as a retailer in this business.
Can you believe that?
Well,
what was I thinking?
How much different was the business? Now you did that several years ago. Now that you're on this side of that decision, you know, plus X number of years, what were the surprises and what were the things that were different from what you had estimated on the front end?
Well, I think it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I was interested at the time of being a small business owner, and that's still, you know, flooring. I picked the flooring industry. At the end of the day, you know, we are. I enjoy developing our team. I enjoy the home service industry and the kind of the varying elements of our business and the mix of our business. I find that intriguing. We just happen to sell flooring. So I think it is much harder than I anticipated. You know, as a small company, trying to attract talent and develop talent and retain talent, I think that's been a challenge for us. I think we've been successful, but it's you know, I think being a small business owner is probably much harder now that I'm on the inside looking out than I thought.
Now, speaking of millennials, a lot of millennials appear to work for you. Mm-hmm. Is that a challenge? Does that present things that were different from what you had anticipated?
You know, there's been a lot written about millennials as employees, and I just haven't found all that to be true. You know, we've had a lot of success with the young people that are working for us. I find them to be highly motivated and enjoyable to work with. Our clients like working with them. So I'm very proud of the millennials that we have working for us, and I don't get all the negative kind of stuff that's out there about millennials. I don't get it. I have hope for millennials.
Yeah. Well, the more I think about it, there's a lot of generalization.
Yes.
Which I guess broad generalizations about anything are probably not true, and that appears to be the case with millennials.
That's what I believe. We have a nice mix of people from varying backgrounds, varying ages, and I think you know, any successful team has a group of different people with different backgrounds all working towards a common goal, and I think that's been, as far as having a cohesive team, I think that's been key for us.
And that's something it sounds like you work at.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe that's something from coming from outside the industry, from the corporate world. You know, I got exposed to the notion of team building and developing, you know, a team, and I think that's probably helped me. I think in this, in developing this little entity at Moda.
What do you find the competition is like here in Dalton? I mean, competition, I suspect, is tough no matter where you're standing, I suppose. Are there unique things about the Atlanta market, would you think, in its competitive environment?
Well, you know, I've never been in the flooring business outside of Atlanta, so it's hard for me to really judge, you know, what it's like to do business in Texas or California. You know, I really am a glass kind of half full kind of guy. We have 6 million people here. We have lots of competition, but you know, I just feel like we've got a niche that we're looking, that we're trying to target, and with the amount of people we have living in this area, that I just see it as an opportunity. Even despite the fact that we have over 100 big box stores and all kinds of other private retailers in the marketplace.
The WFCA, as you're aware, just finished a study that they published a month ago or so. And they were judging, and this was a secret shopper type survey, directed at both independent retailers and big box players on service. And basically, they looked at three areas: in-store, in-home, and follow-up, and compared the service that was experienced with the independent versus the big box, and found that indeed, in terms of levels of service, the independent came out ahead, but only by 1.5%, which shocked me. I have to imagine that it shocked you as well. Now again, this is across the board, a smattering of all types of retailers, up, high end, low end, everybody in between.
Well, I think what's happened, in my opinion, is that the big box stores, have improved, and come up to the level of the independents, and the independents have probably stayed the same. And so, and we need to be. I think that's a wake-up call for the independents who are going to survive in the coming years. They're going to have to take their game to the next level, because certainly, if you're in your marketplace competing against big box stores, I think they're going to continue to improve. They're going to figure out how to use technology, and so the independents that are going to make it are going to have to constantly be re-examining their business and their service levels, and how do they also improve?
Yeah.